konaklama sektörüne yatırım. Yatırımcılar ne arıyor diyeceğiz. Ve moderatörümüz Dariha Choudhry, McKinsey Yardımcı Ortak. Please join me on the stage. Hello. Hi, how are you? Please have a seat. Thank you. Ve Sayın Amin İsmail'i rica ediyoruz. Sayın Ece Demirpençe, Sayın Murat Erdoğan ve Sayın Bekir Yıldırım geliyorlar sahneye. Buyurunuz. Ve Sayın Akın Yavuz. Oh, you need one more chair? Yeah. Hoş geldiniz. Bir sandalyeye daha ihtiyacımız var. Yes. Biraz kapatalım mı? Böyle daha iyi olacak. Are we ready? Are you ready?
We are.
Then the stage is yours.
Great, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for taking out the time and joining us, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here. I'm joined by my esteemed guests, and I will maybe first just give a short introduction and then hand over to them. So my name is Dariha Choudhry. I'm an associate partner with McKinsey, and I focus my work at the intersection of tourism and real estate investments. So this is my second time being part of this forum, and quite a pleasure. And it's great to see some familiar faces and new ones across. Maybe if I can first introduce my panelists. We have Akın Tavuz joining us from Doğuş. We have Bekir Yıldırım joining us from Neo Asset. We have Murat Erdoğan joining us from BLG. Amin Ismail on my right-hand side joining us from CERTARES, as well as Demirpençe joining us from Akfen. So maybe I'll hand over first to Ece to introduce herself.
Yes,
and then
you.
we'll pass the mic over.
Everyone. I'm Ece Demirpençe, General Manager of Akfen REIT. Akfen REIT is one of the leading tourism investors in Turkey. We have in total 20 hotels in Turkey and in Russia. 15 of them are in Turkey and 4 of them are in Russia. All of them are being operated by Accor Group. So I'm happy to be here. I will do my best to answer your questions as an investor and a REIT.
Thank you so much, Ece. Amin, over to you.
All right, Amin Ismail. I'm a managing director at CERTARES, which is a private equity fund specializing in the travel and tourism and hospitality investment space. We invest globally, about roughly 40% in North America, 40% in Europe, and 20% the rest of the world. Our investments, we started out as a private equity buyout fund, have grown into other strategies since, especially during COVID. So we now also have a credit fund that invests in credit opportunities. And on the real estate side, we have today only in North America, but a fund that invests in hotel acquisitions in North America. It's a top performing fund actually, so we do very good in the real estate business in the US. It's a top decile fund, and that is us. Nothing in Turkey as of yet.
So I mean, we need to talk about how we bring you to Turkey.
Would love to, we're very keen.
Murat, over to you.
Thank you. My name is Murat, and I'm the CFO of the BLG Capital real estate private equity company. BLG Real Estate Company is having investments through US, Italy in Europe, and Turkey for unique assets over 15 years period of time.
That's over
Thank
to you,
you.
Bekir.
This is Bekir Yıldırım. I am from Neo Asset Management. I am the CEO and the founding partner. As Neo, we have been managing more than 100 funds, mutual funds and investment funds. We invest in many segments of the investment world, including the real estate, private equity, venture capitals, and as well as financial instrument assets. And currently, our under asset management is nearly $3 billion. And due to the regulations, and we have very limited availability to invest in abroad, then this is why we focus in Turkey mainly. Almost 95% of our investment is in Turkey. And maybe 5% of our investment is outside of Turkey. And of course, the hospitality is one of our key focus sitting in Istanbul. And thank you.
Absolutely. I think, Bekir, you need to talk to us about how do we make this 2x on the 95%, right? In terms of volume deployed. Akın, over to you, please.
Thank you very much. This is Akın Tavuz. I am the Chief Operating Officer of Doğuş Group. We are conducting business in 8 industries from construction to energy. One of the focus of the group is, of course, hospitality. We have 15 hotels in Turkey, also in Switzerland, in Croatia, some other countries. We also have more than 200 restaurants from Las Vegas to, Dubai. Thank you very much. Very happy to be here.
Great. So we all promise you, hopefully, a great panel. So maybe to get us started off, we wanted to talk about what does it take to unlock investments in hospitality, right? And really understand from the diverse group that we've assembled together around what are investors really seeking, right? Where is capital going? What's changing on the risk profiles? What are different segments looking for? And then eventually bring all of this home and say, how do we deploy more of this to Turkey itself? So maybe the first question I would like to ask, Bekir, maybe we can start with you, is around what is it really that capital is looking for?
Yeah, an excellent question. I like this question, and I can speak on this many hours, but let's make the story short. And if we will speak this 10 years ago, I will definitely say different things like rental income, rents, location, whatever it is. We will be definitely speaking about different things. And if we speak today, what is investment looking for? What's capital looking for? And probably it is not easy to answer, but let's make to try it at least. So of course the sustainability, that's one of the crucial things, and the technology as well. So, and as of today's investment world, and an example on real estate is always giving a very good figure that if we speak about one hospitality facility or the logistic facility, that's more than real estate actually, as of today's world, investment world. We should speak about not only operator of any hospitality, we should speak about the technology, mobility, flexibility. So this is the key terms that today's capital is looking for. It should be definitely like that. And also, as of today's investors, users, customers, it is not easy to separate from each other. Investment together with the real estate, together with the facility, and then you cannot easily separate those kinds of segments of the investment flow. This is my answer that obviously we are looking for the sustainability with a better risk management, of course powered by technology, and be careful about the artificial intelligence as well. So those are our main basic answers to that question.
Great. Okay, maybe if you want to shed some light on this as well, like how do you think about, what capital, how do you want to deploy it? What are you really looking for when you think about those investments?
Of course, for like every investor, we are looking to the returns. But other than the returns, I think sustainability is very important because if an investor comes to Turkey, one of the most important things is exit. Can I exit from this market? Is there liquidation? Can I find loans with reasonable prices? Also, the infrastructure is very important. The investors are not only looking one asset, they are looking as destination.
Of course.
Whether there is some nice restaurants, the location, the atmosphere, the experience. This is a whole package, which also the investors and also the government and the industry should focus, because if we can create a destination as a whole package, then these investments are becoming more sustainable, reliable, and then investment friendly. One quick addition is human capital. Human capital in this industry is very difficult to find, very difficult to sustain, and very important for the future of the industry.
In Turkey, you're very fortunate for
Yeah,
that, obviously.
yes, of
So
course.
It's a great resource.
I mean, actually, maybe I'll just pull on the thread around destinations, right?
Yes.
You invest not in hotels itself, but in the broader travel tourism industry.
Yeah.
How do you tie this back from an investment lens
Yep.
to the hospitality assets itself, everything that comes before and after on creating that destination experience for a traveler, right? Because it starts from the booking all the way to when they exit and even after.
Again, the caveat is we do invest in hotels. To date, we have not invested outside, only in North America. But I echo everything that was said right prior to this. But we look at destinations, and we're looking at a lot of places, and we've invested in a lot of places, whether it's in the Middle East, other parts of Europe, where we make investments. We're happy to look at things that activate a destination, activities, experiences around a hotel or a cruise ship terminal where people disembark. There is something for them to do, whether it's in, entertainment, F&B, things that complement and complete, an investment that someone would make in hospitality. So, we've talked a lot to some of the projects in Saudi Arabia. It's obviously, they're trying to build a very large tourism sector around some of the assets in Saudi Arabia, which, previously have not been visited or not extensively visited. So, Red Sea, for example, and in some other cruise companies, talking about, things that we could invest alongside to complement some of those assets. Tour guides in Al-Ula, for example. Al-Ula is an amazing destination. You go there, very limited number of tour guides, but we thought about investing in that ecosystem, for example, to train tour guides in Al-Ula, which we know is going to be a first-class destination at some point. You're starting to get first-class hospitality assets there, but you still need the other stuff that complements it. The destination management company that was going to support it, the ground transportation that's going to support the destination. Those still, those investments are still to be made, and we would look at making those types of investments, whether in Saudi Arabia or in Turkey or any other destination. So,
great. I think, Bekir, you mentioned the point around earlier people just looked at it as rental income, as, returns, and now I think we look at the investments more holistically. And that brings me to my next question around saying, what in expectations has really changed? And maybe, actually, if I can, request you to maybe shed some light, even with respect to REITs, right?
Yes, sure.
It's one of the instruments that is used in the space. What's evolving? What are you seeing from your vantage point?
Actually, from a REIT's perspective, we believe that financial innovation, commercial viability, and sustainability are no longer separate topics. They are all deeply connected. And also, REITs are no longer just income-producing asset holders. They are participating in a broader economy. As an urban planner and a real estate developer, I highly value this position of the REITs because when REITs are connected with the local authorities and the other co-partners or the users, when it's under a certain regulatory environment, the investment goes beyond building investment. So it goes far beyond a social impact, environmental impact. So we put all this in together and evaluate the investment. Of course, this is equally true for the tourism. When the institutional strength of a REIT is combined with the know-how of a local or international hotel chain, then it's also becoming something else. When this partnership strengthens destination branding, enhances the market credibility, and also helps us to build trust in the market, trust for users, trust for investors, trust for the city. So coming to the financial part, of course, as usual, it has not changed. As investors, the key is capital efficiency, predictable cash flows, and also strong contracts and ESG-driven strategies. So ESG strategy, we are one of the REITs in sustainability index, and we highly value that. Actually, the matter is how you design your cash flow. If you do the framework, the risk and return framework at the very beginning of your development, and you accurately make your calculations, it's better to see what's going on the way, sometimes typical Turkish way, unfortunately. So if you manage unbreakable contracts and predictable cash flows, then you're in a good position. So this is how we look at the environment today. Of course, investing in Turkey now, the returns used to be, expected returns used to be 8 to 10 years. It was a norm. Now it's 13 to 16 years. So this is a long-term mindset. You have to accept that this is a position that you have to keep your income and pricing, including these risks, in a highly high-cost development environment. So this is basically how we look at the investments nowadays.
Yeah, very tough.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
I think, as we talk about the different investments, underpinning every investment is demand, right? All these cash flows and returns we talk about is about understanding our segments and understanding who are we serving. So Murat, maybe I would ask you around, how do you think of, what do you foresee as some segment-specific opportunities that may be, out there and are most compelling to even consider for the capital to go towards? Right? How do you explore that area?
Dariha, we are analyzing several investment opportunities in US, in Europe, in Turkey. It's our business as a real estate investment fund. So what we are looking at the end of the day, while studying those opportunities, there are three simple, very simple point that we are take care of it. Basically, we are a real estate company and focusing on hospitality. So it's a egg chicken relationship in between. So for us, the most important thing is the location. So location, location, location. It should be a candidate of a trophy asset, or it should be a trophy asset needs renovation, decoration, you name it. But without location, we do not prefer to invest. So trophy assets, a kind of asset is keeping your investment valuable against inflation. In a long run, in case of your model based on the hospitality business, cannot make money because of this and that sometimes. There are several reasons. But trophy assets keep its value in a long run. So there are some cycles in economy, in the world, in Turkey as well. So in that cycle, the point you are in is very important, at what stage. So basically, trophy assets do not lose their value. So the second thing is what we are looking is the concept. So most suitable concept for that location. Mm-hmm. So the concept comes with the location and the trends. In a long run, trends in...
What's new?
What's new?
What trends are we looking at?
It's not new for us, basically, but maybe I would like to mention about the, what we are focusing on in terms of concept. But the concept is not the only thing. The third one is the financial justification as well as the operator. We are not an operator, basically, but the right operator based on a right financial justification is the third thing. So there are three elements. And the concept nowadays, not only in Turkey as well as the EU and US, when you look at the population, people are living more and more. So when you have a look at the 1960s, the average life cycle is about 60 years, 55 to 60. Now we are talking about today 75 to 80. So maybe 10 years later, it would be 90 to 95. So what does it mean? So people are retired, then have a 30, 40 years more. So when you look at the Maslow hierarchy, the basic thing is security, food, housing, this and that. Basics. Yeah. Basics are covered mainly based on our custom segmentation. The second thing is health. Health is in the second stage at this moment, and people would like to live in a better conditions, better healthy positions, they would like to get older in a healthy way. So the new segment, or for a while it's a segment, it is health, hospitality, or we may call it to longevity.
Yep.
Wellness, longevity.
Wellness, well-being. Yep.
So right location, right concept, right operator with a financial stability, together with longevity, we are believing it in for future and nowadays. So we are focusing on that segmentation. But segmentation is an output. It's an output of the process. So if you choose the 3 pillar in a correct way, the segmentation will give you the output. I would like to give one last example. So about 14 years ago, we had an investment to student housing business. Student housing business is a regular business. It's not a sexy business, let's say. But
a necessary one.
necessary. I mean, yes, you are correct. So, but we would like to have it in a different way, in a different location, hot location, let's say, and hot design, and we were providing a different student experience within that facility platform. So, and we did a very good job, and the output even from the student accommodation business was more than enough, let's say.
Great, thank you so much. Maybe I'll have a question. I think, wellness is a topic that keeps coming up in hospitality. Yes. Would any one of you maybe want to shed some light on how are you thinking about wellness investments, right? Investments into it. Is it too early? Do you want to go in early into this? Do you think this is the right time? Yeah. Are there tested enough concepts? Are we happy to take the plunge? How are we thinking about it?
Well,
folks?
It's to the comment. Oh, sorry. Do you want to go first? You?
Actually, we have a concept channel in Switzerland. Many of the people knows, I guess.
We know it very well.
Yeah, you know very well. We have an hotel in Park Vegas, just next to the Lake Lucerne. But that investment and that mentality is not about, losing weight. In the old days, everybody, they were measuring their weights every day, which we banned in the hotel now. Because it is not about losing some weight, it is the mentality, the focus is now in the industry, the wellness and the longevity and the mindset of the people. So when you come to the hotel, we are conducting very detailed analysis of yourself, and then it is now, we name it preventive care. And since people are living more, since people want a more quality in life in their old ages, it is very popular, and we are expanding our business not only in Switzerland, but also Marbella in Spain, in Saudi Arabia. Yes. So this is a growing business. Yeah. Of course, one of the threats is coming from the, but we don't see it.
We will assume all those people went to the gym.
As a threat, it is another complementary business because what we are focusing on is people's mentality and the longevity. Please.
Amin, I think you wanted to also add to it.
Yeah, this is a trend and a segment within travel that we've spent a lot of time on. In fact, my colleagues in Milan have probably spent the last 2 to 3 years not only scouting opportunities in this space, but also better understanding the sub-segment and where our capital would be best served. I can't make the announcement yet, but we're in the process of actually making our first wellness investment. It's not going to be owned in the private equity fund. It's going to be owned in a separate vehicle. Let's call it an SMA that would be focused on wellness and longevity. And the idea is to take that as a platform and hopefully have something in Turkey, in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Oman, something like that. But we spent a lot of time studying this, and we like it as a sector, and we think it's from a return and managing risk it's a great place to be invested in.
Great. So I think
for a lot of the reasons that everyone explained here. So
no, absolutely agreed. I think it would probably be safe to say that wellness is not just a trend, but it's in fact becoming a segment and one that we need to consider and really tailor towards 100%. As we think of our hospitality investments.
You should see my pictures from 3 years ago. Just go to our website. So. Absolutely.
I think we've spoken quite a lot about what it takes to invest. I would also love to hear from each one of you on what's a deal breaker? What makes you not go ahead, right? What are the don'ts? I think, we often focus on the do's, but there's a lot of time invested in discussions, in negotiations, and sometimes you see that it doesn't go through, right? So from your vantage points individually, what does that look like? What's the deal breaker? Actually, maybe you kick us off.
Lack of compliances, breakable contracts, and bad partnership agreements, or a dramatic change in zoning would be the breaker of a project, if you mean the overall development process. There are lots of things happening on the way, but I think if I can't predict the cash flow, as there is a stone in the middle of it, I would definitely no-go decision.
Okay. Amin?
Lack of returns, I'm just kidding. No, I think I would have to say we do a lot of partnerships, a lot of our investments, certainly early on in the days of CERTARES. For the most part, everything we've done was really a partnership. So having the right partners is very important. And one situation I don't want to find myself in is to be married to a bad partner. And obviously management is very important as well. So it would have to be partnering with the right management teams. Those would be.
But what makes a good management team?
They have obviously productivity, efficiency, and they have to. We're a travel specialist, so people that understand our industry to be able to look at across our portfolio. Have to go back to COVID because that was the real test of good management teams, good companies, and we've experienced something in that era that really puts them to test. Our companies have they all suffered, obviously, during COVID with the shutdowns. But watching how the management teams stepped up, how they prioritized, extracting efficiencies where they were able to, and being able to operate in a situation where, in some cases, our corporate travel businesses, for example, were down 90%, 95% overnight. To be able to sustain a business and manage your customer relations and the supplier relationships in that environment is very difficult. You couldn't do it without the right management team. So having the strong management teams, tested management teams is very important.
Great. Murat, your view?
My answer would be the same. I think the no-go one is the asset itself. I'm not talking about the address of the asset, but the asset itself, assets with very limited computation is a positive asset. Asset that cannot easily be repeated of anywhere is an asset, and real positive value. Otherwise, you cannot, you are vulnerable in any, market problems, let's say. But such assets, I'll give you an example. There is only one Peninsula Hotel in Turkey. There is only one. There is no such location. It's a simple thing. Same in London. There is only one Peninsula Hotel at the Hyde Park corner. You cannot make it the second one. So there is only one Galata Port. You cannot make the second one. So that kind of examples I can tell you But basically, asset itself is very important. If the asset doesn't mean anything to us, it's not sexy, it's not for us.
Great.
Good. My answer very same, what we spoke here before me, but let's look in a different angle from my perspective and my experience. That would be unflexibility, because it's covering many things. When the issue is deal breaker, as you said, the exit is very important for us, but if we are not flexible enough, that means that we couldn't able to make a right time exit. And also, you referred to wellness. And I'm sure that 5 years ago, 6 years ago, or 10 years ago, we wouldn't speak about the wellness, but now we spoke about. Why? Because many things is changing in the world. People's behavior, technology making a lot of stress, and then people starting to invest themselves. And then the reflection we saw in the industry as a wellness or short-term rental. So hotel is growing and short-term rental is growing. And if you catch in a squeezed area when you make a contract, when you make any agreement between buyer and seller. So if you squeeze and if you stuck in flexibility, that's affecting a lot of points in the investment. So that's, I think, covering a lot of things, and we deeply started to think about where I am squeezing myself in these investments. I should be flexible because the prediction of the future is not easy. And we claim something, we read something, but we are not sure. So just an example, and your beautiful student housing very close to my house, just 500 meters each day I am passing through there. And also probably the second most luxury investment done by us as Neo Asset Management, and we sold it. Oh. And then at that time, we were planning to invest more and more, but we need to catch the right point of the student housing because it's changing itself. What Correct. You create there is very valuable, not only student housing, it's a life. Every time I see the scooters, the young boys and ladies speaking, drinking a coffee, a cigarette there, and it is ecosystem. By the way, it is the most lively and the crowded place in a very typical Turkish, district in Ulus, in Ortak. But this is an ecosystem. But as a fund manager, and if we squeeze ourselves in the student housing, and of course we cannot catch the right point, but as one of the developer and the very visionary investors, and you created this, so this is also risk for us. We should be flexible as much as we can do. So this is a deal breaker for us. If we see any unflexibility in the agreement, in the condition, in the investment criteria, we want to stop there.
Thank you.
Great. Akın, what about you?
Yes.
How many restaurants did you not sign before you signed?
For every asset, I would say one word, the mood of the asset. As an investor or as a guest, sometimes if you enter a hotel, for example, you see that there is something wrong. Something is missing. There is unhappiness, maybe stemming from the partners, maybe the people, maybe some physical things, but that mood kills the business. And the bond between the emotional bond between the guests and the assets are very, very important. So I would say, the mood, the general condition of the asset is very important. And we also have, as Doğuş Group, a preference. We are always after the unique assets. Because, when you look at the trends in the hospitality industry, people are traveling more. They can see many places, various times. So what they are after is not now the physical assets, but the experience, but the memories, but the uniqueness of the assets. For example, we have the Argos Hotel in Cappadocia. So the people are coming not only for the room, not only for the physical asset, but we are after their time, the atmosphere. So when we look at 10 assets, we are not only look at the Excel sheets, spreadsheets, but the atmosphere, the experience, and the uniqueness of the assets. If there is no uniqueness, of course, There are many hotel groups which are very good at mass tourism. We are not one of them. But if there is no uniqueness, if there is no excitement for us, because we also love, we also have a passion what we are doing. So if there is an excitement for the business, then we are in that investment.
Great. I think indeed hospitality is a lot about the emotional experience and experience as a whole, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I'd like to spend the last 10 minutes or so on the panel of just bringing all of this home, right? So what would it take to unlock these investments, especially for Turkey? So in your case, I think Ece would love to understand what would it take to double what you're deploying today?
Now, there is a long story behind it. I will try to keep it short. Actually, the core of the tourism industry remains same today, but demographics and climate change are not just situations and concerns. They are the primary assets that shapes and needs a new investment strategy. So we are seeing a rise of clear new investment fields like independent living and longevity, as we just spoken. What we are witnessing today, a hybrid model, and I think it's worth it to invest in hybrid models. What I mean with that, destination-based living is now being operated in a hospitality logic. We can see examples in Spain and Portugal, and I think Turkey is a good market for that. This is not a total change in the hospitality, rather it's a meeting point of the infrastructure of tourism, aligns with long-term expectations of the older population, financially secure and active and mobile. So there is I think, potential in there. So why am I raising that issue? Not because the data is undeniable, so I would like to go over my notes and I would like to share some information. I hope it's not boring. According to latest findings of Bocconi University and Allianz report, 2025 report, the silver economy, people over 50, already generate 34% of total global GDP, nearly 39 trillion euros. And that part holds half of consumer spending worldwide. At the same time, we are entering into a largest intergenerational wealth transfer in history that equals to 64 trillion euros moving in the hands of generation that prioritizes activity and travel over an ordinary retirement plan. So in the Eurozone, spending by those over 65 is growing faster than any other group. These individuals are not taking for care. They are not looking for care. They are looking for experience, premium lifestyle, so they would like to live their second adulthood. This is also mentioned in the EU reports. So they want high-end, service-heavy environments, look like hotels, but function as a permanent residences. For investors and operators, I believe this hybrid model is a potential and needs to be evaluated. These assets used to be talked about in the residential market, but they are not residents anymore, neither hotels. So it's a hybrid model. So those hybrid models offer year-round occupancy, so it's a forecastable revenue, and also it's hard currency or FX-linked revenues, and the service-driven income rather than only room. You don't just sell the rooms, we sell the experience, you sell additional lots of things to that group. So at Akfen REIT, we also partnered such a project in the US, in Florida. We are partnering with a local developer, and we already entered that field. So we are very happy and satisfied with this investment. I believe Turkey has a timely, unique opportunity. While our population is younger than Europe, 65+ demography has grew 20% in the last 5 years. So Turkey benefits from massive climate advantage, healthcare system, because health tourism sports tourism, they are also important parts of that segment, and the obvious natural beauty, and the well-connected airline network, this is so crucial, and also proven customer satisfaction. So if we put all those together, I see a huge potential for the REITs and investors. So also, finally, we don't need to start from scratch. We can use the idle, unused stock of the hotels. We can convert them into residences because there's a huge stock. Hakan Bey also mentioned in his speech. So it's important to look at that market from that angle. We can fill this space 12 months in a year. So we can increase the occupancy, and there's a huge potential. So I think tourism is no longer chasing for short-term seasonal demands. We should chase for long-term demands, a sustainable investment environment.
Great, thank you. Amin, you mentioned 40% in North America, 40% in Europe, 20% otherwise. What will it take for us to make sure that the next time we're sitting together, you're already present in Turkey on your geographical portfolio?
First of all, it's my second trip to TIF, so I'm obviously keen to try to figure out a way to do this. It's unfair to say that as an investor, you're right, but our companies already do a lot of business in Turkey. Turkey is, as Gloria was saying earlier today, the mix between domestic and international tourism. Turkey is actually one of the healthier countries in that mix. So our businesses, whether it's Amex GBT, Internova, some of our European distribution assets, do quite a bit of business, whether it's with Turkish Airlines or some of the hotels. But as an investor, I'll go back to the point on partnerships. I am very keen on exploring what partnerships we could do with some of the main stakeholders in Turkey, whether it's the government. I've just been made aware that there is something called the Turkey Sovereign Wealth Fund. We partner with sovereign wealth funds in other destinations, in Saudi Arabia, in Oman. We just completed something very recently. We've done it in the UAE. We work with countries and we advise countries. So I think having that type of a relationship, whether it's a government entity investor or some of the private sector in Turkey. It's a tough market for all the reasons that we've been talking about. Inflation, high cost of capital, interest rates, those are very challenging for a private equity investor. Long investment holds. You mentioned, now people are expecting, they would have to be in an investment 10, 15 years. That would be very difficult for us to stomach. But we would be happy to explore it in a country like Turkey. Like I said, I'm very keen on it. If we had the right partnerships, if we could partner, whether it's, again, government stakeholder, private sector. We know some obviously very strong partners here. We've known them for years, and we'd love to partner with them. And stay tuned. We'll be looking to explore how we could put something together.
Absolutely. Akın, maybe to you. How do you foresee it in the market, the local market?
I see Oya Hanım here. We also made a lot of visits to Ankara. I want to look from a more holistic perspective. I think the coordination and looking at the hospitality industry as a whole is very important because this is a journey and it begins from the airport. The flights are very important, the charters are very important, even the taxi drivers are very important because this is a journey. And within that journey, if something is wrong with the experience of that guest, then they are not coming to Turkey again. So we have a lot of, trophy assets. The assets are very good, the country is very good, but the infrastructure is also very important. The financing, for example, is very important. If you want to, build a hotel, the only option might be capital or bank loan. The capital market are very, very important. The alternative financing is very important. So we have to focus with a more coordinated manner, like the government, the private industry, the finance industry. I think Turkey, we have a lot of, assets all over the world, but Turkey is very different. It has a huge potential. So I am a believer of Turkey. We made a little bit chat. This is the right time to come to Turkey.
Yes. Yes,
You know, even with these a lot of problems, the industry is very strong. I think there is a huge potential, but all the, you know, actors in the government, in the industry, we have to a little bit focus on the whole picture.
Yeah.
This is what I want to say.
Very clear. Bekir, what about you?
Thank you. You emphasize the demand, like the location in the real estate. Maybe in the investment world, demand is another, you know, important milestone. So when we look to local market to Turkey on that perspective, that the demand, Turkey has a huge demand always, and on the touristic base, on other things, and universities, and also and it is using geographically benefits from sitting in here. And also the trends ahead of us in 10 years, 20 years, we will see more mobility-driven markets, and mobility makes a new demands. Turkey will be very important with that perspective that, and as you said, a lot of important, you know, room in Turkey. And almost the game has just started for Turkey, for hospitality, for real estate, and some other investments, and all together, and we see a better local market, of course, with some problems. But I think the mobility-driven demand will make a huge impact to Turkish hospitality market and as well as other investments.
Murat?
Yeah, I would like to mention about one other thing. It is about, you know, partnership. So the most important thing is the partnership. You cannot make everything alone. You know, it's about, you know, financial scarcity, let's say. So all over the world, our priority to choose the right partner. In US, in Italy, in Turkey, choosing the right partner may expand the business. So you can do business in US alone, or you cannot invest in Italy alone. It's a local environment, let's say. It is same for Turkey as well. If you are able to choose the right partner, then your investments can be accelerated. That is very important for such, you know, it's also important for you and, you know, for you as well. So we are in a very good collaboration and JV partner with Doğuş for a long years. So I would like to, you know, thank Akın
Thank you.
for it as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Great. I think I'll maybe take a minute to summarize all the themes that we have heard across on the panel. And a big thank you to all the panelists for contributing towards it. We're in an industry today, you know, hospitality is relevant, tourism is more relevant than it has ever been in the past. It's a driver of sectors, it's a contributor of jobs. And what we see is, you know, when we spoke earlier about what makes capital move, what is capital looking for, and we heard a very holistic view of saying that, you know, it's not just about creating the IRR and the rental income and so forth, but we're actually looking at these investments more holistically. We want to ensure that they're sustainable. We want to ensure that they can stand the test of time. We've seen and learned from COVID, you know, what stands versus not, and we extrapolate learnings from there. We've also heard about how important flexibility is across that, right? As we look at capital, as we look at where to deploy and so forth. To make this work, it never happens alone. It's important that we leverage the technology that we have. It's also important that we build and continue to sustain the human capital required for this, right? And that's a big, tall ask with all the technological changes as well. And we need to go hand in hand with that. I think more importantly, if I was to summarize what I've heard across, right, it's all these decisions are interconnected, right? They're connected in terms of saying who is our segment, both as an input and, Murat, to your point, as an output, right? As we understand our travelers, we've seen, you know, themes like wellness are no more a trend, but they're here to stay. We're looking at investing into them. We want to be prepared and ahead of time on that. REITs and other financial instruments will continue to play a very important role across this, and they're all underlying on how do we really build the trust behind these instruments. Right, and as you think about how to deploy, where to deploy, and why, you know, location is probably the #1 rule in real estate. So our hotel investments specifically are underpinned by the real estate nature of the owner and the developer looking at it first. And then the concept and the operations comes along. I think maybe two other key themes that I'll just summarize is we also spoke about what are deal breakers, what makes investments not work, as important as it is to understand what makes it work. And I think there are three things I picked up as themes across. The first is really, if your partners and you, the values need to match, right? You need to be able to sit across and trust each other and make that happen. That's underpinned by the management team itself that plays a big role there. The contracts itself are quite critical and how to structure them and have flexibility while structuring them as well. And then the uniqueness of the asset and differentiating factor around it is also critical for success. And lastly, this is a very, very big and important industry, but it's also one that's not pure math, right? There is a very big human element to the industry on experience, and we need to acknowledge and account for what that means. And lastly, in terms of bringing it to Turkey, what would it take for us to enhance investments in hospitality in Turkey? It's underpinned by looking at new models, whether it's hybrid investments into the sector, but also leveraging our mobility, the airline network that we have, the partnerships that can be established. How do we bring the best from global and match it with the best of local and create those partnerships to execute upon? And then lastly, looking at all of this not as siloed investments, but in fact as an ecosystem that needs to collectively come together and act across it. Right? So thank you so much to everyone for this, and thank you all of you for joining us as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you for this wonderful moderation and
Thank
for
you,
this
Dariha.
wonderful panel. Sayın Narin, Sayın Oya Narin'i davet edelim misafirlerimize, yurt dışından gelen uluslararası konuşmacılarımıza ve tabii ki ülkemizi temsilen sahnede olan kıymetli isimlere plaketlerini takdim etsinler. Sevgili Oya Narin, moderatörümüz Dariha Choudhry, Sayın Amin İsmail, Ece Demirpençe, Murat Erdoğan, Bekir Yıldırım ve Sayın Akın Tavuz bizlerle beraberdi. Bu panelimizde konaklama sektörüne yatırım, yatırımcılar ne arıyor diye konuştuk, bahsettik. Hem ülkemiz için hem yurt dışı için çeşitli fikirler ekseninde konuşmacılarımız görüşlerini aktardılar. Bu arada Sayın Oya Narin kıymetli konuşmacılarımıza bugünün anısına plaketlerini takdim ederken ben de Bosphorus salonundaki TIF Talks'u tekrar anons etmek istiyorum. Saat 15 itibariyle bugünün son TIF Talks'u başlamış bulunmakta. Teknoloji ve eğitim nerede değer yaratıyor, nerede potansiyel var başlığıyla Bosphorus salonunda TIF Talks'ta bir söyleşi gerçekleştiriyorlar saat 15 itibariyle. Evet, çok teşekkür ediyoruz Sayın Oya Narin, kıymetli panelistlerimiz ve kıymetli moderatörümüz.